and he was talking about his relationship with his wife. They've been married 15 years, and he says it's a healthy marriage. And he said what keeps it so healthy is, he said, first, they don't yell at each other. And they said, we've never had an argument.
Are you not supposed to have something nice? I think we're taught that we're not supposed to have nice things because it's somehow unholy or not right. And I think
it started with whispers, the kind that bounce around industry corridors before spilling into public view. This time, the murmur wasn't about a new track or a surprise collaboration. It was about Swizz Beatz and a secret that insiders say could shatter the carefully polished image he and Alicia Keys have curated for a decade and a half. While Alicia was online pouring her heart out over their 15th anniversary, 15 years of magic, and just getting started, the man she was celebrating was, according to those same insiders, concealing the arrival of a new life, one he allegedly fathered with a longtime romantic partner outside the marriage. Those anniversary posts now look less like a love letter and more like a carefully lit stage backdrop for a performance nobody knew was hiding another act.
I met Alicia a few times before. Last time we met, since then, your life has changed dramatically.
It has.
It's been a few years.
Yeah.
You're married now? You're a married woman?
Yeah.
You married Mr. Swizz Beatz, I believe.
That's true.
Swizz Beatz. That's his performing name, I guess.
That is.
Okay.
And his actual name is Kasim.
Kasim. So you're not Mrs. Beatz?
No, Mrs. Dean.
Mrs. Dean. So his real name's Kasim Dean. And there you. And is that you? Is that your little boy there with you?
Yeah, that's my little guy.
The detail that turned industry chatter into full-scale scandal was the claim of a court-ordered paternity test, reportedly confirming what some in their circle had been hinting at for months. And this wasn't a nameless fling who'd appeared from nowhere. The woman at the center of this storm has, sources insist, been part of Swizz's personal orbit for years. That's the part that hits hardest for observers. If true, it's not an impulsive lapse, but a sustained double life running parallel to the smiling family portraits Alicia has shared with millions. The idea that she may have learned of it only after paperwork made it undeniable adds a cold sting to the public romance she's been championing. What makes the picture even murkier are suggestions from certain bloggers that this long-term companion might be maneuvering her way into visibility, leaking enough detail to force the story out into the open. It raises a blunt question. Has Swizz been caught in someone else's calculated play, or is this simply the result of years of believing he could have everything without consequence? His track record in the gossip columns doesn't exactly paint him as a stranger to temptation, but the magnitude of this claim is on a different scale.
And it was so sad, and Gigi and all the families that were there. It changed everything. It made everything that we planned for go out the window, and just had to go with the spirit, had to go with the genuine feeling of how we were all feeling, which was...
As all this began to boil, another name re-entered the conversation. Mashonda, Swizz's ex-wife. For those who remember the very public unraveling of their marriage, the symmetry is impossible to miss. Over a decade ago, she was the one left in the cold, accusing Alicia of stepping into her marriage before it was over. Back then, Mashonda's open letter, raw, unfiltered, and aimed directly at Alicia, became blogosphere history. Now, fans are watching her social media for any sign of a reaction, and they think they've found it. In cryptic captions, nostalgic throwbacks, and subtle digital nods that look an awful lot like quiet satisfaction. It's the kind of full circle moment the internet lives for. The wronged woman from Chapter 1 suddenly watching the woman who replaced her walk through the same public fire. The timeline makes it even more combustible. Barely 2 weeks separated the romantic anniversary tributes from the paternity rumors hitting gossip pages. One moment the world sees a couple glowing in professional photos, dressed to the nines, kissing under soft light. The next, those same images are being reposted with captions dripping in irony. Swizz had written about the remainder of our lives, beginning that day, about joy, contentment, and family. Words now being held up next to allegations of a secret pregnancy as if they were part of some cruel inside joke.
Always so happy to see you guys.
Thank you.
You guys went to high school together?
No, I wish.
Oh, did you know each other before?
Her best friend was a rapper in my class, and she used to always tell me, like, man, you gotta meet Ali, you gotta meet Ali. She's doing music, you doing music. And one day she finally came to pick up from school, and she was like, Swizz, come here, this is Ali, that's what I'm talking about.
Industry veterans are calling it sloppy, not only because of the act itself, but because of the longevity of the relationship being alleged. This wasn't a scenario where a high-profile figure is blindsided by a brief misstep becoming public. This, if the accounts are accurate, was a carefully maintained arrangement that survived years without exploding, until now. And the revelation, insiders say, didn't come from Swizz himself. Alicia reportedly discovered the truth when those test results landed, matching the private whispers she may have dismissed as gossip. For Mashonda, the resonance is sharp. When she went through her own public breakup, she endured accusations, defended herself against narratives that painted her as bitter, and eventually built a truce for the sake of her son. She even joined Alicia and Swizz in interviews promoting their blended family, speaking about dinners together, shared holidays, and a sisterhood between ex-wife and new wife. There was even that Alicia track in 2016, Blended Family, What You Do for Love, a glossy, harmonious public message about healing and unity. The optics then were all about closure and co-parenting triumph. Today, those same images and quotes are being recirculated online, framed as proof of how far the mighty can fall.
But this is the thing that I like about the two of you together, because it does feel that you are each other's cheerleaders. But is there ever healthy competition between the two of you?
You know, I would say no, because I feel that one of the things that really works about us is we're very different. Even the style of music is different from my style of music. We complement each other as opposed to kind of ever in each other's way. Or
The public's memory of Swizz's history doesn't help his case. Even before he married Alicia, rumors of overlapping relationships were a staple in the blogs. Names and timelines blurred together, but the pattern, real or exaggerated, stuck. And the fact that he already has children from multiple previous relationships makes the idea of another addition outside the marriage easier for some to believe. This latest allegation, though, pushes the narrative past casual speculation. A child is a living reminder, not just a fleeting headline. Alicia's response so far has been silence. For years, her brand has leaned on poise, artistry, and a kind of public serenity that sidesteps mudslinging. She's not the type to go live on social media to vent, but the longer she maintains that calm exterior, the more space there is for others to fill in the blanks. Some see her restraint as dignity, protecting her children from the chaos. Others think it's strategy, time used to prepare legal moves behind closed doors. A few wonder if she's hoping the storm will pass without her having to wade into it at all. Yet even her quiet is starting to feel like part of the drama, each day without a statement, making the speculation more fevered.
all create our own destiny as opposed to the expectations that are put on us by other people. And sometimes we live out those expectations because we're trying to be the good girl or the good boy. And I would love for us to challenge that and talk about how do we find our own truth.
In the meantime, Mashonda's online activity is being dissected frame by frame. A liked comment here, a nostalgic image there. Nothing explicit, nothing that could be called a direct jab, but enough to keep the narrative alive. It's a different posture from the open letter days, more of a knowing smile than an angry shout, and it's fueling the idea that she is the one person in this triangle who's getting exactly what she wants without having to say a word. For those who've followed Swift's career closely, there's a grim familiarity to the headlines, a major life milestone marked by public declarations of love followed not long after by rumors of a side romance. The difference now is that the alleged relationship in question isn't fleeting, it's said to have roots deep enough to survive for years without exposure. That alone makes the story more volatile because it suggests a comfort level, even a sense of permanence, in the betrayal.
Man, you know, I'm a lot of the same person that I've always been. I'm definitely that same kind of empathetic, relatable, boots on the ground type of girl, woman. But I definitely have a lot more wisdom. I have a lot more confidence. I have a lot more understanding of just what's real and what's fake. I think sometimes this world, this game, this industry can really be confusing. You know, you get confused about what's actual and what's not.
The dynamic between all three players adds another layer. Alicia's rise has been tied to her image as a grounded, soulful artist with a strong moral center. Swizz, the high-energy producer with a string of hits and a flair for grand gestures, has complemented that image, or at least that was the public perception. Mashonda's evolution from scorned ex to co-parenting advocate was, in its own way, part of the same package, a testament to maturity and reconciliation. This allegation threatens to unravel that carefully balanced narrative, pulling each of them back into the messy, headline-grabbing territory they'd all seemed to move past. It's not just a personal issue, it's a public unmasking of a brand that's been sold for years. Alicia's fans have been invested in the perfect couple story, in the idea that love and mutual respect could survive fame, schedules, and a complicated blended family. Seeing that image collide with the possibility of a hidden second life forces a reevaluation, not just of the man at the center of the scandal, but of the narrative she's been presenting.
I think you get so personal, you get so vulnerable, you get so kind of, for me, it was more about the process of expressing the way that it happened. And so I didn't feel nervous about it, but it definitely just feels...
And then there's the question nobody can quite answer yet. If this is all true, what happens next? Public apologies, quiet separation, a messy split played out in court filings and gossip headlines? Or does the couple attempt to absorb the blow just as they've sidestepped past rumors and carry on? The industry has seen all variations before, but the combination of timing, history, and the high-profile ex-wife watching from the sidelines makes this particular case feel like it's teetering on a knife's edge. Even the language in Swizz's anniversary post is being combed for irony now. Phrases about joy and family take on a different tone when held against the backdrop of alleged clandestine visits and long-term deception. And while his supporters might argue that one doesn't negate the other, the court of public opinion tends to see these things in simpler, harsher terms.
You and Alicia have been married for 13 years. You have a 13th wedding anniversary coming up.
Yes.
With Miss Keith, who we love. Oh my God.
The woman at the center of the new allegation remains largely unseen, her name floating around in private group chats and behind-the-scenes conversations rather than splashed across headlines. For now. But if the claims about her pushing the story into the spotlight are accurate, that anonymity might not last much longer. The idea that she's been in Swizz's life for years suggests she knows exactly how explosive this could be and how to leverage that if she chooses. That's the part that keeps the industry on edge. This may be just the first ripple of a much bigger wave. Alicia's refusal to address the whispers has become its own headline. For someone whose image has been built on openness, raw piano ballads, and the occasional heartfelt essay, this kind of silence is deafening. We've seen other celebrities rush to deny, deflect, or distract, but Alicia is keeping her cards hidden, smiling through public appearances, and posting as if nothing has changed. Is this the work of a carefully orchestrated crisis strategy, protecting her children from seeing their parents' names dissected online, or is it the quiet, deliberate calm of someone who's already begun severing ties behind closed doors? The very stillness she's famous for, that Zen goddess aura, now feels like a glass surface stretched thin over boiling water.
Devastating.
Well, I mean, you handled it beautifully, pivoting from the original plans there.
Pivoting is, I think, a really important thing that I have been learning. You know, you don't always know what is meant for you, and sometimes you just have to be willing to flow, and that was definitely a big example of the flow.
Yeah.
The risk is that every day without a statement allows others to define the story for her. Brand consultants will tell you, control the narrative or the narrative controls you. But maybe that's the plan. Maybe she's waiting until legal filings are ready so she can make one clean cut and let the world know the marriage is over on her own terms. The contradiction is striking. The woman who once sang about being a superwoman, now standing completely still while speculation swirls like a hurricane. If she is crumbling, it's happening out of sight, in rooms where no camera will ever go. And then there's Mashonda. The internet never forgot that 2009 open letter, the one where she accused Alicia of stepping into her marriage before the papers were signed. It was raw, it was personal, and it was impossible to ignore. Back then, it made Mashonda the face of public heartbreak, a woman turned into a character in someone else's love story. Now, we're watching a different performance. The tone is subtle, but the moves are deliberate. A liked post that hints at karma, a perfectly timed quote about truth always coming to light, a throwback image from her days as Mrs. Dean. She doesn't have to write another essay. The suggestion alone sends the message, I warned you.
I think you're right, and I guess I didn't ever realize it because I live with myself, so I know who I am, and I know how I feel, and I know what I do, and I know how I vibe, and all of my friends and people that rock with me, they know me, so.
The irony is almost poetic. Years ago, Mashonda was the outsider looking in on a smiling couple's photos, wondering how they could celebrate love while she was still healing. Now, she's the one scrolling through Alicia's anniversary shots, aware of a different truth sitting just beneath the captions. Fans are split. Some call it long overdue justice. Others see it as pouring salt on a wound that could scar children caught in the crossfire. But Mashonda's history with this exact triangle makes it impossible to separate her online gestures from the drama. They carry weight because we've all seen this movie before. We just didn't know it would have a sequel. Industry insiders note how different this revenge looks from the explosive outburst of the past. It's more like chess now, slow moves, carefully spaced, each one sparking conversation without giving anyone grounds to accuse her of attacking outright. The audience fills in the blanks, and Mashonda doesn't have to confirm a thing. That's the kind of control she didn't have in 2009, and perhaps that's why she's playing it this way. If she's savoring the irony, she's doing it with the precision of someone who's learned how to keep her hands clean while the internet does the talking.
What happens when you're working on music and he does something that you don't think is great, or she does something that you don't think is great?
It's easy.
Is it easy?
It's very hard for me to find something that she can't do great.
Well, just suppose. I mean, because everybody's going, Alicia, that's great, great, great. Swizz, that's great, great, great.
Oh, I told
and
the
you're
truth.
sitting there saying,
He's brutally honest. I'm like, babe, could you like be a little sweeter with the way you gave that to me? Just a tiny.
But it's the newest whisper that could turn this entire situation on its head. Multiple blogs are teasing unverified claims that Swizz and Mashonda have been seen meeting in the late hours. Discreet dinners, cars pulling up to private residences, conversations that last long after the cameras have gone home. We have to ask, is this a rekindling of something more than co-parenting? Could it be two exes rediscovering old chemistry while bonded over shared grievance? Or is it a tactical alliance? An understanding that destabilizing Alicia now could shift the balance of power in ways both personal and financial. If that rumor holds any truth, it opens a darker possibility. Alicia's most devastating betrayal might not come from the woman tied to the alleged new child, but from the one she believed she had made peace with. The optics would be brutal, a truce turned trap, a friendship turned battlefield. Even the suggestion of such a twist is enough to make public sympathy swing in unpredictable directions. And, in the court of celebrity opinion, perception is often more important than proof.
So music has been a big part of your lives for a very long time.
Absolutely.
So what does it mean to you both as we sit here getting ready to celebrate Grammy weekend?
Well, for me, music is the instrument of life.
I agree. I feel like music is it's the answer, it's the reason. It's so powerful.
Every player in this triangle knows what it's like to live under a spotlight. They understand that the smallest gesture, a smile at the wrong person, a dinner in the wrong location, can ignite weeks of headlines. That's why these whispers matter. In a world where everyone's next move is scrutinized, the thought of Swizz and Mashonda standing together again, for whatever reason, is loaded with implication. Whether it's genuine affection, mutual revenge, or pure coincidence, the narrative practically writes itself. We are watching a slow-motion implosion of a brand that once stood for stability, creativity, and a blended family success story. What comes next could redefine the careers and reputations of everyone involved. Will Alicia's quiet break into a public statement that turns the tables? Will Mashonda lean into the role of karmic victor, or will she overplay her hand? And will Swizz try to repair the image of a man who has it all, or simply move on to the next chapter without looking back?
Oh, he's that guy. He's always that guy. So I think that's what happens. You might get misconstrued, and then you start only thinking about yourself as opposed to making sure that everybody is good. So as long as that's happening and there's a balance, then there's nothing wrong with having.
Because here's the question that's keeping people talking. Could the real danger to this marriage be not the side relationship we all think we know about, but the unexpected alliance of two people whose history with each other runs deeper than any rumor? If the answer is yes, the story isn't just about betrayal. It's about betrayal from the one place Alicia thought was safe. So, what do you think? Is this marriage already finished, or did it never truly have a chance? Let us know, and until the next revelation drops, stay sharp, stay curious, and keep your eyes on the shadows.